Hello, welcome back to Prague and the PokerStars European Poker Tour as day 2 of the main event continues at King's Casino at the Hilton Prague. Well, the bubble is fast approaching and we are keeping the same lineup at our feature table on the main stage. So we still have Martin Kabhrel. We're also going to have the PSPC champ Ramon Kalilis from Team Pro.
15.
And we still have Papo MC, a World Series of Poker main event finalist and winner of the biggest Eureka Poker Tour main event in history. Just a couple of days ago, Alejandro Lococo took that one down. No short stacks here, Joe. No one in the danger zone.
Nope. Sorry, it was me not saying danger zone.
There was a chip count or what?
Min cash, 8,830 euros. Once we get to the final table, big money with the winner of this Prague main event receiving more than $1 million. And of course, we will crack open that prize pool of more than 5 mil tonight, playing into the money and beyond. Thrilled to be joined live on the line from Los Angeles in California by Maria Ho. Prague calling Maria. Prague calling Maria. Can you hear us? Over.
You guys, are you guys back? Is this real life?
So real
I mean,
now, yeah?
Oh my
for us
goodness.
it is. You're still in the PokerStars arena as far as we're concerned.
I know, I got stuck here, but I'm very jelly and I hope to join you guys on that side of the world soon.
Ultimately, Maria, you get to enjoy the same experience as us and the same experience that everyone watching at home has right now. Live poker, an EPT festival, the first major European Poker Tour event in more than 2 years. It's happening. People are playing with chips and cards on our screens right now.
Love to see it.
Is it my imagination or has writing only got half a head?
He's got a hat on, I think. Maybe blending in with the background.
Well, he's raised under the gun with ace-7 suited. And not just any old suit. Strawberries. Yum.
So the fact that it's suited makes it not the Spraggy,
Correct.
right? Okay. Correct.
Correct. The Spraggy is ace-7 offsuit in the same way that 10-9 offsuit is not the Grafton.
And this comes down to Kabhrel in the big blind, who's gonna defend with the good buddy hand.
Pretty wide defend against an under the gun open, but you know, I've seen Kabhrel make things happen out of the big blind before.
Yeah, so have we. From the big blind, from under the gun +1, really.
Guys, whether we're playing live or online, it is always coming 7. The 7 is coming.
Are these new 7s, by the way? It's a very aggressive 7.
45.
What do you mean, an aggressive 7?
It's got aggressive angles.
I don't mind this lead by Kabhrel. Obviously, I think this board does favor the big blind defend range more so than the under the gun opener. So not surprised to see the stab, but of course, just up against it here now with the trip 7s of writing. Just a min raise out of writing. I think I would have liked to see a bigger sizing. I completely understand why he's electing to fast play at this point. Obviously, a lot of draws possible, but you might want to have gone slightly bigger and hope to get called by a lot of these draws that are hoping to hit. And also, let's not rule out Kabhrel 3-betting.
Interesting move.
Yeah, I mean, Kabhrel feels like he has more 7Xs here as well as straights and thinks that if writing had flopped a set with that type of wet board, he likely would have followed it up with a C-bet. So I can understand the play.
Yeah, or just from a simpleton's perspective, like, yeah, you probably don't have a 7. which most of the time he'd be right.
Kabhrel does river showdown value now, so it would be interesting to see if he tries to go for thin value with the size down or checks it over, and I think that's smart.
And Writing is going to add 100K to his stack, a profit of 54,000 on the hand.
Bubble race.
Bubble raise, says Kabhrel. I mean, 7-3 offsuit is obviously an attempt to steal, if that's what he means.
Yeah, the man tells no lies.
Bubble call.
Small pot.
No, don't speak. You are in the hand.
Hey,
You can't speak, man.
Oh.
You are in the pot.
now you know what I have. You can hear it about my voice, huh?
Writing has called
No,
on the
really,
button
you
with
shouldn't
fives. And here we have
If you are in the pot, you don't
Rodrigo
speak, right?
Celoan getting
Small
involved
pot.
in the big blind.
We
We
will see
referenced
how
earlier
small
on,
it will be.
Maria, Celoan 1991 is a player who we've seen a lot during our online streams of 2020 and 2021. Took down a Big 20 Rewind event in November of last year. High stakes Brazilian pro, and here he is in the live world at an EPT feature table.
You're right. Pretty small pot. You're right about that.
Yeah, this is all Kabhrel. All
I
Kabhrel.
think as played, Writing definitely needs to take one off here and see what develops on later streets.
You have anything there?
Not yet.
How? Why are you speaking in the hand? You said you never speak.
Oh no!
Oh
What did I
my
say?
goodness.
Yeah.
What did I tell you?
It's like Kabhrel knows.
Have two pair.
It's silly. It's very, very silly.
4 pair.
4 pair. No, not possible.
Oh man, this is
Sometimes
actually
when people
great
say poker is stupid, I really get defensive about the
So many
game.
hands.
But
Yeah.
sometimes hands like this happen, and I'm just like, maybe it is stupid.
So easy call. And river. If I go all in river, what do you do? That's the question.
Let's see.
You call or all in on the river?
I
Wow.
don't think so.
Writing
think so?
calls 20K on the
That's not
turn,
very helpful.
bricks the river.
Yeah, I
Oh
don't wanna
wow,
risk all
Kabrel's
in,
loading up for a big bet on the river, and the question is,
Bet?
for his opponent,
That's the bet?
No, no, no.
is the writing on the wall?
Because I will pay that.
You pay this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, then I should put more, right?
I think if I were Writing, I wouldn't try to beat Kabhrel at his
This
own
is
game
your
with the
maximum,
speech
yeah?
play because I think he's just giving too much away in the sense of
Yeah.
he's very rarely slow playing here, right? He
for sure.
very rarely has tens full
Thank you.
from what he's saying.
That was actually
And
very
so it
helpful.
really allows Kabhrel to choose a certain sizing because he knows
Yeah.
that he's very likely to not be raised.
To Kabhrel's credit, by the way, he's been working on getting Writing talking since Writing came to the table. Like, at first, he wouldn't talk to Kabhrel, and Kabrel's just been chipping away, and now has him giving away information the same way most of the other players at the table have. And it's really impressive, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, and love him or hate him, I mean, Kabhrel really has perfected the art of the speech play in a lot of scenarios that I've seen him in.
I mean, we've got 75,500 in the pot. Both players with similar size stacks behind. And Kabhrel going for value on the river. Dealer just verifying the size of this value bet. 59,500.
And that's definitely something you can't underestimate, right? Is somebody's frustration against another player will lead to them making mistakes and paying off in situations where perhaps they normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
I
And
resemble that remark.
Kabhrel certainly has that working for him. I mean, clearly you know that Kabhrel is not going to take this line with ace high, right? He's not going to fire 3 streets and take this sizing on the river with something with pretty good showdown value. So what you're really looking at is Kabhrel having potentially 10s full here. You know, you're not going to put Kabhrel on too many 3x type hands. Certainly, you know, ace 3 suited, those type of hands would open from the cutoff. But I just don't think that this line is going to be very bluff heavy, even from somebody who's as splashy as Kabhrel can be.
But that's the brilliance of him, is that it seems like it could be.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt that the man did say, you know, bubble raise before opening this hand pre. You know he's going to be in there with a wide range of hands, but let's not confuse raising wide pre with barreling flop, turn, and river against what was, you know, 2 opponents on the flop. I think that you have to take that into consideration, that people might be willing to all day raise pre really light when we're getting close to the bubble, but they're not going to fire 3 streets with nothing very often.
Your logic is super sound. It just seems like the guy that never stops talking during the hand is perfectly capable of just like triple barreling you and then showing you a bluff at the end, which we know isn't happening and does not happen very often. It just seems like it could. And that's what's so tough about this spot. Quiet now.
You know, there's spots that you want a hero and there's people you want a hero against, right?
Point.
And I think that for writing, Kabhrel is someone that you want a hero against. You want to be able to turn over those 5s triumphantly and be like, got you. But you really have to play out the entire situation and still make a good decision regardless.
Fields just ticked down to 198. And writing still in the tank. And yes, the shot clock does not come into play until the start of day 3. So unless someone calls the clock on him, he will just keep on thinking. He's called. Single chip call. And Kabhrel wins a pretty huge pot.
Taking it like a champ.
Kabhrel in the hijack. He's raising with Jack 3 of diamonds. Which, last time I checked, Maria, is actually a better hand than 7-3.
Well,
yeah, and
well, actually.
At this point, I think Kabhrel realizes that he has free reign to open so wide. I mean, he's not getting 3-bet, right? That's the key, is nobody has been willing to 3-bet him. And so the more they're letting you get away with, this is exactly what bubble play should be about, is extending your lead, your chip stack in the situation where people are unwilling to play big pots.
Okay, we've only seen one of Papo MC's cards, but oh my word,
come
Kabhrel
on, guys.
flops trip 3. Didn't have to wait for the turn this time. He's flopped it.
Nice open. I mean, do you guys know that watching this drives me absolutely crazy, right?
Triggered.
I'm so triggered.
I know. Do we need a new It's Always Coming 3?
It's just when people make like more hands in a orbit than I make in a half a year.
Ace of diamonds on the turn. So obviously we only know one of Lococo's hole cards, but it doesn't matter what the other card is. Kabhrel currently ahead, and Kabhrel continuing to bet.
I mean, good for Kabhrel, too, for just not laughing hysterically throughout this hand. I would just be like, you guys are never going to believe this. I bet.
While Alejandro Lococo calls, and this hand is going to the river. 49,500 each.
Sorry, behind only small chips.
A pot of more than 135K.
That's an upside down 9.
6 of clubs.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, Maria, is there any card Lococo could have here that makes him a winner? No, right? Just want to double check
No.
that. Okay.
I mean, even if you had 9-3, the kicker is inferior because the jack is going to play here, and Kabhrel very clearly, as you see, this pot is 135K, and Lococo only has 173K back. This is going to be a big, big river bet coming out of Kabhrel.
Who gets to do this 2 hands in a row?
And from what I've seen of Lococo's play, I have seen him make big calls. I have seen him risk his tournament life in spots where players might be afraid to, and he would be a good candidate to do this against. We don't know what his other card is, but I would not be surprised if Lococo would be willing to look him up light.
What?
What?
That seems a little premature. Now, granted, there's no aggressive... Wait, there's just an all-in?
Yeah.
There was no aggressive action facing him, so I guess you get a little less time, but that seemed a little quick to me.
I'm all for trying to speed up the game, but that did seem a little premature.
And now Kabhrel knows he has this whole table right where he wants them, right?
I mean, he just knows how to use every bit of information he's given to his advantage. You want to call clock? Cool, I'm all in.
If Lococo has ace-9, which is what most of the audience seem to be putting him on, is there any chance he calls this?
What about pocket 9s?
Yeah, I mean...
There's the call.
Oh,
we don't have
goes.
to speculate.
Oh, wow.
Calls all in. Shows his hand. It was ace-9. And that will see the elimination of Papo MC, Alejandro Lococo, World Series finalist, winner of the Eureka Poker Tour main event here in Prague, is out. Finishes outside the money as he calls that huge polarizing river bet from Martin Kabhrel and walks into trips.
What 3? Oh, real hand.
Real hand alert, guys. He's got the goods now.
He's playing very responsible.
Sometimes it's 7-3, sometimes it's Jack 3 suited, and sometimes it's pocket 10s. You never know.
1 raise 6, 2 raise 7.
Round 2, Rodrigo Celoan on the button, who has the Snowman's num-num, calls with the 8s.
So is Kabhrel going to flop a set or quads?
Don't joke.
Or is he going to set over set him? Okay. Well, this is still going to be fun.
Buckle
Fun
up,
for
buckaroos.
Yeah.
Ramon has checked.
This is 3 straight draws. One of them open-ended. 1 overpair.
You see, you joked about a set of 10s. You joked about quads. The way Kabhrel is running, we get an 8 on the turn.
Or 10-6.
9,000 called by Celoan, not by Kalilas.
Gain my
Well, this is boring.
You are very unlucky, man. Can I know what is in the box, please? Can you help me with that?
Oh, man.
Kabhrel just poking fun at there being a 7 and a 3 out, I think.
75,
You know, if he has 7-3 again, could have 2 pairs, what I think he's trying to say to Saluan.
Earlier, Kabhrel was BSing, as he is wont to do, and
Yes.
said that he came to the table with 500K in chips and that he had lost a bunch, which is a lie because he was only up on the day.
$500,000.
Now he has more chips than the lie he told, which was a ridiculous lie at the time.
Again with the big bets, 39,000 in the pot. What does Kabhrel bet here?
I mean, how do you ever fold this?
Is he putting Saluan all in? Yep, he has.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Almost 3x pot. Just really shutting down a lot of the type of hands that, you know, Saluan actually has here. This pair and a straight draw scenario makes it really tough to call off.
It's cold.
Yeah.
There is
I
one
mean,
card to come, though. Saluan is not drawing dead. A 10 or a 5 gets him out of jail.
Unbelievable.
Any other card, and Kabhrel will have done it again.
5 outs is an unlucky number of outs. Nobody ever hits a 5-outer. 6-outer, yes. 2-outer, yes. 5, no, forget about it.
The river is an ace. Barry Greenstein has no influence on the outcome of this hand. 2 in a row. In back-to-back hands, Martin Kabhrel wins huge pots and eliminates Papo MC and Rodrigo Saluan.
This is so ridiculous.
Kabhrel is a one-man wrecking ball. People on the outskirts are just like, they just see that number ticking down and they're like, what is happening on that feature table?
People playing like 2 days.
Crazy.
We have brought Hussein Ensan back to the main stage. Hussein, a former EPT Prague winner, a former World Series of Poker main event champ. We've got another EPT winner in Davide Katai. We've got a 2-time World Series finalist, Antoine Saut. We've got Andrew Wilson, Bowie Effect from the UK. We've got Paul Tedeschi from France. It's a strong lineup with the blinds at 2K, 4K, and a 4K big blind ante. I'm James Hartigan. He is Joe Stapleton.
Hello, my bubble babies.
And we are still joined by Maria Ho. Hello, Maria.
Hello.
Maria, you see who's in seat 2 there? As per my email, you will see who is in seat 2. Oh, you gotta have fun with your job.
So, Katai opened with ace-queen in early position. Ensan has 3-bet with kings in the cutoff. Action is back on Katai, the winner of EPT Berlin in 2012.
And you know, it's been a few years since I've played with Katai, but if memory serves me, he does not like to fold.
Oh, he's tough.
And Katai has indeed called, and we are going heads up to the flop. First hand back from the break. And it is Queen 10-6, all diamonds. So top for Katai. Ensan ahead with the overpair, plus he has the King of Diamonds as insurance.
I don't know.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, who like these two guys are just absolute titans. Like this is anybody's game, even with this flop.
Yeah, and this is definitely the kind of flop where you're not going to get away quite yet. You definitely want to tread somewhat carefully, especially as Katai, seeing as how Ensan did 3-bet pre, but of course, once you flop top pair, top kicker, even with the flush out there, you're not going to be too quick to just let it go. Might not be a spot where you want to overplay your hand, though, considering we are on the bubble.
Is Davide Katai going to look at this as being on the bubble, 13 from the actual bubble?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the soft bubble portion where you know players are going to be playing a little bit more aggressively if they have a big stack, especially pre-flop. And you also don't necessarily want to have to risk your tournament life unnecessarily. That's not to say that Katai is just going to be folding top. It's just that you're going to tread a lot more carefully.
So
Pretty
after it
nice
went check on the flop, I'm guessing we're going to get a delayed continuation bet from Ensan.
There can no longer be an action killer on the turn.
Yeah, and this is the part where you definitely want to, of course, get value from worse, charge for those diamond type hands that are looking for one more diamond to come.
Katai taking a sweet time after this bet of 31,000 from Ensan.
Is Katai ever thinking of giving this up? No, right?
No, especially because it did get checked back on the flop. I think that in some ways it actually makes Katai feel better about his hand because, you know, there's a world where, say, Ensan maybe has jacks, right? And that does seem like the type of hand he would go for a delayed c-bet, where perhaps he doesn't want to bloat the pot on the flop, but once it's checked again on the turn, he feels comfortable going for value and wants that protection as well from the diamonds.
If anybody thinks Duthie Katai might be stalling on the bubble, I just want to let you guys know, he does this all the time. This is not a bubble. He's a deep thinker.
He is a player with $10 million in live tournament earnings. He's a Triple Crown winner, which means he has an EPT title, a WPT title, and a World Series of Poker bracelet. So Ensan bets, Katai calls eventually, and we're going to the river.
Stack the pot ratio. Alert.
Yeah, Katai 80K behind, 140K in the middle. Quickly checks that river card. Does Ensan go for more on the river?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed a flop bet on. I missed that Ensan did bet the flop, but here, yes, he does end up going all in. I mean, it is interesting because obviously you don't expect a lot of the times that you would get called by worse with this run out when you have a hand like kings. But you're especially targeting a hand like ace queen. I mean, that's not the only hand that your opponent could have. Of course, I think your opponent will have, of course, queen jack sometimes, and king queen, you block that with the kings in your hand. But I just think that this is a very thin value bet. I mean, of course, you might have a lot of history with each other, and it might feel a little bit more comfortable at this juncture to just put it all in and hope for a call. I think you feel pretty comfortable, though, that your opponent doesn't have, say, a set of tens in this spot or something like that, just because you would have expected to hear from them earlier because of that 3 diamond monotone flop.
So if Katai calls, he is out.
It's one of those spots where when you put your opponent all in and you have kings, you're really happy that you don't get snap calls, you know? You feel like it's for value, but you never want to have a snap call in this spot.
Might not have noticed, but we did just see the field ticker go down 2 spots from 189 to 187. Matteo Calzoni from Italy was the first player to bust back from the dinner break. Silviu Balatenu from Romania has also gone out, and another one's just been eliminated. We're down to 186.
Obviously a big decision for Katai here. I mean, I don't think he's taking this much time because he thinks 10 players will get eliminated before he makes his decision, but obviously it's a tough spot.
He might be trying to read the squeaks.
Especially when you don't block any diamonds as Katai, you know, it's just hard to imagine that a player would be taking this line as a bluff, considering Ensan did 3-bet pre-flop and bet every step of the way. You don't have, say, an ace of diamonds in your hands to block, you know, the nut flush, the hands that, you know, would 3-bet pre that contain maybe some suited combos of ace-x, ace-king, etc. The one thing I will say is, it just makes it a little less likely that, you know, maybe your opponent has perhaps like the non-diamond ace and they're just trying to bluff through, but good fold.
So Jan Subik and Christian Pedersen are the 2 players that we just lost, taking us down to 179. We've got Andy Wilson here with King Queen.
Yeah, this is a spot where you just wanna get it through basically.
Yeah.
Hope that all the big stacks have air.
Is this pretty close to the bottom of a raising range from this position?
Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah, definitely. And if somebody's gonna 3-bet him, I assume he's gonna fold.
With this stack size, Maria, if you're dealt King Queen off under the gun +1, are you playing it?
Yeah, it's like it feels dirty to fold, right? And of course blocker effects being relevant, but you also know that whether or not a big stack has a hand behind you, that doesn't necessarily mean that they need a big hand to 3-bet you and put you and your stack in a really tough spot, right? So it's like this is the stage where when you open, you're almost you almost expect a 3-bet from a big stack. You know, you almost don't expect to be able to get it through.
Look, I think the squeaking is really appropriate right now because it is squeaky bum time.
Yeah, true. As per my email, I've got a hand right now.
How long are we going to have to wait before Matson does something?
Everybody does it. It's just weird how sort of the mores of poker have changed over the years. I remember when I first started working in poker, one thing is players would be like, I would never call the clock on anyone, ever, for any reason. I would never call the clock, and I would never stall. And now both of them are things that are part of the game, and I'm not being critical of either side of it. I totally get it. Like, take a few extra seconds. Like, oh boy.
Ace, Jack 7, top 2 for Matson. The gut shot straight draw for Wilson. So obviously we'll keep one eye on how this hand plays out. But I want to ask a question of both Maria and Koray, which is, shot clocks are a relatively new thing in live poker. And clearly a lot of operators, a lot of tours, a lot of events are trying to work out the best point to introduce the shot clock. And I remember that when we first had the shot clock on the EPT, it was brought out before we got to the bubble. So it did speed up this process. Now it doesn't come into play until the start of day 3 when we're already in the money. Koray, I'll ask you first. Would you prefer the shot clock before the bubble, or do you think it's right to wait till players are in the money?
Ooh.
Oh! Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Hold that thought.
No, finish. This hand will work itself out.
I mean, Andy's super excited about that turn card here, obviously.
Yeah, look at his breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go from a spot where on the flop you just c-bet, hoping to just take it down right then and there. And then on the turn, you're just like, please stick around.
I wonder if he is actually channeling the Bowie effect. Is he wearing the infamous David Bowie t-shirt under that?
And Matson for sure likes his hand too. He might just stick it in here.
Well, that's not going to work out for him.
I mean, there's still a few outs left.
Down to 178.
Yeah, and you could see with SPR, you know, when Matson at least calls here on the turn, Wilson will have just about pot back for the river.
J'ai pas de téléphone.
Faut juste la droite d'aller le prendre. La droite d'écrire si tu veux.
Ah ouais?
Ouais. J'ai posé le mien au bord, là, je peux le prendre si je veux. Il faut juste le prendre loin de la table. You bluff. Maybe. I saw. I have. Yeah? Yeah.
Sick.
No. Yeah. You did? Yeah, sure. I have to do.
This is Per Emil Matson, who is all in and behind. Called by Andy Wilson, snap called by Bowie effect.
Puke.
And just
I am
2
now. I need to
outs
take my
for
phone,
Matson.
you can give me.
Come here. Then you tell me later, after what you have, I say you my hand.
Ah, but I tell you now. I have a screen.
Uke.
Ace queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why you don't call?
You have it or not?
Feels bad, man.
You have it.
At least we're doing it quick.
Why you don't call?
I was 0%.
Ace in diamonds?
No.
Maximize the pain.
I was 0% on the turn. Yeah?
Then we will.
So Wilson is actually the at-risk player. Wilson gets the red triangle of death. Matson will not be eliminated.
Kings or tens?
King queen is yours?
Maybe he'll squeak into the money.
Yeah.
At least you're on the feature table where you're not having all the people from all the other tables rush over to see what's going on.
Right.
Like hovering over you.
So that is a full double up for Andy Wilson, and Matson is left super short. It's been announced that they should stop the clock, and we are just going to wait to ensure that every other hand has concluded before we run this out. It is pre-flop. Valentino Konakchiev versus Pedro Guas Neves, and it is Neves who is the at-risk player. Super short, was pretty much forced all in from the big blind. And Toby Stone will be making his way to this table. In fact, he's there. Pedro is the at-risk player and has tabled pocket fives. And Valentino was on the steal. 10-5 of clubs.
Oh, no.
So Pedro, the at-risk player, with fives. Valentino with 10-5. And the flop is 10 high, 10-9-4. Oh no, and that means Pedro's drawing to a one-outer. There is only 1-5 left in the deck. Queen on the turn. King on the river, and we're in the money. Pedro goes broke. And that means we are down to 175. The bubble has burst, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, good night, everybody.
And with Pedro going out in 176th place, the final 175 are all guaranteed at least 8,800, including Per Matson at our feature table.
Okay,
And Sam with pocket fives.
All right, so does he flop the set or the up and down draw?
No, I think he'll just break it all and then get the best hand to fold anyway.
Okay, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, he's good at those too.
He's just magical. He's a unicorn.
He gives me confidence.
I'll tell you what he does do for me, to be honest. It's kind of funny, but it is absolutely honest, is that he gives me hope that you can still have a good life as an older fella.
I totally know where you're going with that, yeah. You can still live well.
Yeah, like you can still have fun. Oh, oh, baby.
The look Joe just gave me in the booth.
I mean, I could end up having to bite it hard here if the heart rolls off and the board doesn't pair.
Oh no, blockers are real. He's got the 5 of hearts. No chance of that, mate. So the king.
Check out that chip trick.
The king deuce of hearts here obviously would usually have a ton more equity, but pocket fives also take into account here the paired boards that give him the full house, and then of course that heart that's missing as well. So he's got one less heart to hit and a whole bunch of other cards that are going to improve the fives in a way, which is going to kill the value of those hearts.
Katai only loses 2% equity picking up the wheel draw.
Yeah. By the way, now we are down to 140 players. There has been a pay jump. Everyone now getting the better part of 10,000 euros, 9,930.
Katai picks up that gut shot.
So with this being a quarter of your stack, do you ever jam here, Nick? Or is it just a call and then have a couple of chips left if you brick?
Well, I'm not sure it's always a call. I mean, it's.
Oh, so there's folds too.
No, I think given the bet size you're always calling, I think you've got way too good of a price to fold. But
yeah.
I don't know about the jam. Given the fact that Ensan's open from this position, I think he's probably just going to have too many hands that'll just go ahead and call the shove.
Okay.
So you might as well just realize. So he's giving you a price, which means that you can call profitably, right? So you might as well just take the
Hear that sigh?
opportunity. I'd love to think that was actually Katai.
Katai going, oh.
Go ahead, bet whatever you got. You win, you win, you win.
Especially because it was red.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those situations you look at your pot odds and you go, yeah, I just have a good opportunity to improve my hand and I've got a really nice price to do it, so why do I need to get tricky?
Well, you could have flipped, Davide, but now you are dominated.
Yep. Andy Wilson here with the dominating ace over Katai.
Oh, Lord, does somehow Ensan wake up with the King Kamehameha ace right now?
And it's one of those spots where the fact that Katai is already all in kind of makes Ensan's hand stronger, in my opinion, in most cases, just because it's not like you're going to get this through and you don't have to go to showdown and you're like, yeah, cool, got everyone to bluff and well played.
His hand has to be stronger is what you mean. Okay.
His hand is going to go to showdown, so it's not as though that's not to say you can't squeeze Andy out of this pot, but if he had a really weak ace like ace deuce off or something, why wouldn't he just let Andy go ahead and do the hard work for him because he knows he's always going to call, right? So Andy does make the call. 27K more.
This is pretty cool. I like having
This is a
one little sweat card here.
chunky pot here.
Also a chunky pot.
So Katai all in. Andy Wilson calling Ensan's 4-bet, and we are going to the flop. King 10-4.
This seems like a pretty good flop for Hossein Ensan.
Yeah, I kind of feel that Katai's little run is coming to an end.
He's just so cool. He's just unflappable.
Okay, a bet and a call. Ensan obviously going for about 1/4 of the total pot, including the side pot there. So ace-jack going nowhere, obviously. Does Ensan want to bet turn, and does he want to size up now? He put in that smaller c-bet. Does he feel the need to protect his hand now?
Even if the river is an 8, it might not be enough.
Yeah.
Oh, they've just drawn for the last few hands. Three more hands after this.
You heard that?
Yep.
Okay, reaching for chips. What's the size, Hossein?
There goes ace jack.
Okay.
He's got to have ace king, right?
Ace,
Or
king,
aces.
ace king or aces.
Queen. Ace queen.
Okay.
Well, that means that Katai's 8 is live. He is going to need a date with an 8, or he's a goner. Embrace the squeak.
So obviously picking up a pretty sizable side pot already.
He doesn't even really care about the river.
Good
Yeah,
game, guys. Good game. See you.
good game.
So we lose a former EPT champion. Davide Katai finally eliminated, cashing out for nearly 10,000 euros.
Andy Wilson is going to be going all in here for about 20 bigs. Seems like the right thing to do, and I think we might be going to race town. I don't think ace king is going to want to get out of the way. But still some players to act who can still find a hand, of course. Big blind, nope.
Is this going to be Andy Wilson flipping for his tournament life?
You don't see it too often. I mean, that's one of the reasons he's so good. Very rarely at risk. Just usually getting those chips quietly, aggregating, slowly, controlled. But, yep, we're going to the races.
Like Elden Ring versus Skyrim. Really? You don't like that?
Skyrim is far outweighs Elden Ring, in my opinion. I don't know. That's not to slam Elden Ring. I haven't played enough of it yet, but...
Two outs for Bowie effect. Andy Wilson is hoping that it's always coming 7. Not this time. Barry Greenstein instead. Wrong meme!
GG's. Bowie effect on his way out. Good game, my friend.
Yeah, great showing.
And play concludes at the feature table. And with that, day 2 is in the books. We played through the bubble. The bonanza is over, and it looks like around 120 players will be returning for day 3. That's when we will do this all again. But for now, from Nick Walsh, Joe Stapleton, Maria Ho, and me, James Hartigan, it's good night from Prague.